the new luxury. It is what it is. Let's get into it.
It is literally impossible to buy a house right now. I currently work 3 jobs. My girlfriend works 2 jobs. We have a bunch of money saved up, and I still cannot buy a house. Otherwise, we'll be completely house poor. I am so sick of this. I'm so tired of it. We've been working so hard for so long. Both of our credit scores are 700 plus, 720 plus, and we're working our butts off. All we want to do is start our life, live our life, and we can't do it. I'm so tired of it. And now we find out that the money that we've been paying for taxes all this time is going to stuff that it shouldn't have gone to. I don't know how much more I can take, man. I don't know how much more I can take. Like, when is the American dream going to be feasible again? When is it going to be okay to work hard to get good things in life? With both of us combined, 5 jobs, and we can't afford a house. I'm so done, man.
I feel you, but 5 jobs is too many. Let me say that. We got to get back to where we're having 1 job, because you ain't got that much time. You know what I mean? The rest and have family time and eat and sleep. If you got all those, between you and your girlfriend, y'all got 5 jobs, man. Y'all giving Uncle Sam a lot more taxes, a lot more money. So, yes, homes are becoming super expensive right now. You would not be able to afford just especially something that you're comfortable with living in. You got to go dang near to something that got maybe some busted out windows just to be able to afford, because a lot of us is becoming house poor out here. But it is what it is. And let's move to the next one.
Can we talk about how hard it is in this economy to actually get a house or anything like that? Yeah. Because right now I'm renting a 2-bedroom apartment for about $1,800 a month, which is always paid up front, on time, and everything. We need a bigger space, so we're looking for a 3-bedroom house minimum, because we have 3 adults and a child and 2 dogs. But when I go to get a pre-approval for a mortgage, they tell me, oh no, we can't because you can't afford it. Every single house that is for rent in my area that is 3 bedrooms is minimum $2,600 a month, which I can't afford. So why are you telling me that I can't afford a fucking mortgage?
Well, it's probably coming down to what your credit is. It's probably coming down how much down payment you got. And then with a house, being honest with you, I know people be looking at that mortgage payment, which could be like $1,500 or $1,800. But then you got to look at property taxes, got to look at insurance or your escrow account. That could add in away from $3,000 to $1,000 more on top of your mortgage, depending on what kind of house you have. So a lot of people do look at it like you can't afford this. And then with a home, you got to look at your trash, your lawn, all kind of stuff go wrong. Just like the last month, I'd have had to replace a dishwasher, a garage, and a refrigerator. So ain't no maintenance man coming to replace them. I got to come out of pocket for those. So I'm not saying you can't. I don't know this lady, but it's a lot go into owning the home that people might think. But it is what it is. Let's move to the next one.
You want to know why no one can buy a house? Watch this.
We have an opening bid of $261,879.65. Do I have
400, Enrique.
They started out with 400.
No, you guys gotta give me 1 second. 400.
261,000.
You're telling me the starting bid was $260,000 for this house, and instantly these guys went for $400,000 just off the rip, just inflating the price. Look at this house. That is not a $400,000 house. Unless there's some sick backyard where it looks cool. Okay, maybe. Then maybe it's a little bit bigger than the picture shows. Okay. Just off the rip, doubling the price and then just fighting over it back and forth. These guys probably ended up going in the same truck and having a good time after. You already know one of them is going to get this house for a nice cash offer. They're going to go in there, replace the flooring with some cheap garbage wood, fake wood, trash, and then flip it for $600,000 and say, oh, redone, remodel, it looks beautiful. Even though all the materials are going into it will probably break and fade away within a year. Flippers ruin everything.
Man, I'm gonna be honest with you. Bro, that's a heck of a jump. That's a heck of a jump to be able to say the starting bid is $261,000, and then you come out the first opening talking about 400. Man, you just inflated that what $39,000 right off the rip. Then somebody said 410. You're right. You're gonna go in there, put some cheap proper paint on the walls, some cheap flooring. Now I don't know what the house looked like inside, but on the outside it doesn't look like a $400,000 house. And like he said, it got a crazy backyard. But at the opening bid, if it's 261,000, it's been appraised for 261,000, more than likely. So that is crazy, man. They're pricing a lot of people out of homes at this particular juncture. Let's move to the next one. It is what it is.
This video is for all my other 25 to 35-year-olds. Is everything just going to be impossible for us? I mean,
It seemed like
I can't
that.
buy a house. I can't. I've put in offers on 2 different homes. One of them wasn't even reviewed. The other one, we were in second. We didn't get it. And every house that I put on my list ends up being pending or it's already gone. It's already under contract the next day. So I am just feeling exhausted and I'm ready to give up. I just think maybe I'm just not supposed to have a house. I'm 29. I have a baby. I'm married. I'm ready. And I think our generation is just getting screwed. I mean, even this car, I had people quoting me like 4 times the MSRP price on this car. Why are we in this? Why can't I just get a regular MSRP price? No, everything is extreme. Everything. You can't. Inflation, all these things, since I've been an adult, ready to do adult things, are literally out of control. And I need to have a rant because I'm just sick of it. I'm ready to give up. It's like I'm just going to rent the rest of my life because these people are out of their minds. I just went to an open house and this house was a dump. It was disgusting. It gave me the ick. It was so dirty. They didn't put any time into cleaning it. It looked disgusting. There was crap on the wall. I mean, just disgusting. Smelled bad. And they had that house listed at $425.
Not surprising.
I wouldn't pay $250 for that house. I would not pay $250 for that house. And that house was at $425. It's the end for our generation. It's just the end.
Oh, everything's inflated. I don't know. It seems like some people got so much money to where they're willing to offer way more than what these things cost to inflate the area. Like she said, her car at a certain MSRP, and people want to pay double for it, man. And houses is a house that cost $200,000-$300,000 a couple of years ago, and not going for $600,000 and $700,000. I can speak honestly on that because I bought a house a couple of years ago for $200,000 or $300,000. About 7 years ago, $300,000. I was selling that house almost $600,000. It benefited me, but people who buying it really can't afford it unless you got plenty of money. So yeah, it's crazy out here right now for people who trying to get in the real estate market to buy a home. It is what it is. Let's move to the next one.
Do you really think people aren't buying houses because interest rates are too high? This is the big lie about housing affordability. Interest rates are too high. No, they're not. Interest rates are at 6.5% right now. And yes, if you try to compare it to, 5 years ago when they were 3%, it seems really high. But that's not high. What, you think if they drop to 4%, everyone's going to start buying? No. In the last few months, over the last 6 months, rates dropped below 6, and there was no rush of people coming out to buy. The 2 real reasons why people can't afford to buy a home: number 1, houses are very expensive now.
Exactly.
Good investment for the people who own them, just like stocks. And number 2, wages have not kept up with inflation. Here's the real truth. People are still buying houses. We're still selling regularly. The people who are buying houses are the people who have really high wages. And so the fact that wages aren't going up doesn't really affect them. What will make housing more affordable for you, buying a home, is when the prices of homes begin to drop. And we're starting to see a little of that. But be warned, once you see home prices dropping in your area, jump on them immediately, because if you wait around to see if they drop more, you're going to miss.
And I do think homes are dropping, but they're only going to drop so far in certain areas. If you pay for a house $700,000, you ain't trying to sell it for 600,000 unless you just in a dire straight like a short sale or something. So most people homes are dropping, but they ain't dropping to the point where people can truly afford them. To even afford a medium house in North Georgia right now where I'm at, in Georgia, in North Georgia, is $534,000. You talking about you gotta at least make $175,000 to $200,000 a year to be able to afford that house comfortably. So, man, it's crazy out here. It is what it is. So let's move to the next one.
Well, young people can't come in and afford to buy the houses that were selling in Hendersonville. I mean, it's hard to get a house in Hendersonville under $500,000.
Yeah,
I mean, so you got Jimmy and Jane getting married, having a baby boy, baby girl, and wanting to move into an area that they can live cheaper. They can't live in a $500,000 house. I mean, it takes
Exactly.
You got to make a couple $100,000, $150,000 a year just to support it, and then you're living on beans and rice almost.
Right. Yeah.
So it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen?
Well, there's going to be
wages are going to have to skyrocket. They're going to have to come up.
And that's not going to happen.
Or the government's going to come in
and subsidize.
Which the government wants to subsidize.
The government wants to subsidize because when they subsidize your income, they control you.
Yep.
And the government wants everybody on their dime so they can tell them what to do, and everybody will bow down and submit to the king government just so that they can get their way. But universal basic income, they've been talking about that for several years now.
Yeah.
So it's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming. You can just look, and it's the only way the game's going to get played.
It's the only game they're playing.
Yep. All right. We got to see that. We'll come back in 2 days, and we'll look at that brick. It should all be done in 2 days.
Beautiful.
Excellent.
Well, I remember, I want to say a year or two ago when Elon Musk was saying that if you want to work, how did he put it? He was basically saying there are going to be more robots than people. And if you want a job is like, if you want to, you can go work, but if not, they'll just pay you to stay home or with UBI, Universal Basic Income. So it's going to be crazy if the government ever start doing Universal Basic Income, they will control you. And you will have to bow down, and you will have to do whatever they tell you to do at that particular point. But I do believe things are so high, people can't afford it, and wages is not going up at all. Not like that. You might get a raise on your job, 1 to 2 to 3, maybe 4%. But inflation is jumping 10 to 20%, man. And I know I might have people might come, oh, no, it ain't. Look at the houses and look at your salary. And you tell me it is what it is. Let's move to the next one.
The average home price in America just went up to $415,000. At a 20% down payment, that would mean you would have to save up $100,000 plus with closing fees and a 6-month emergency fund for a 20% down payment. The problem is that the average American makes between $50,000 to $70,000 a year, and it would take them, without spending any money on car notes, paying off a car loan, paying off student loans, 20 years to save up $100,000. That's about $2,700 you put away every single month for 20 years to save up $100,000. Now, the problem is home prices double every 20 years. So basically, nobody can qualify for these homes.
Homes are expensive, and it's not realistic right now to be putting 20% down. I don't know, like he was saying, if a house is $400,000, $450,000 or whatever, and you talking about 20% down, you are talking about right at $100,000. You know what I mean? And how many people got $100,000 laying around unless it's part of your inheritance or your parents giving you some money or gifting you a property or something like that you can sell or flip. And yes, a lot of people can't afford the basic necessities right now with the job losses and with the rate of inflation, gas, food, and all kind of stuff right now. So yeah, and the rate houses going, my house doubled in 5 years. He said 20 years. My house, the house I bought a couple of years ago, it doubled in like 5 years. And that's what I was like, hey, sell, get up out of there. You know what I mean? Because I didn't want to be there when it crashed. But it is what it is, man. Let's move to the next one.
I met a doctor who makes over $215,000 per year who cannot afford to buy a house because of her student loans. So I talk to everybody whenever I'm out. I'm in the gas station. I start talking to this young lady. Very nice. Turns out she is a doctor in the urgent care. She like runs one of the joints and then, manages the other. She saw my truck. We get talking about real estate. I'm like, yo, you should buy a nice joint. And she damn near started crying on me right there. Said she makes about $215,000 a year, give or take. She's got about $550,000 worth of student loans. Said she's always wanted to be a doctor, so this is where she's at. She told me what her student loan payments were. I can't remember exactly. They were astronomical. They were so much that she can't buy a place. She's been renting. Now, she told me about her fiance, who is a City of Chicago firefighter. He makes just as much as she does, and with overtime, sometime more. He's got his own building, buying another joint. No student loans. She said if she could do it all over, she would have went and joined the fire department, been a paramedic, and then probably became a firefighter as well. She literally regrets that she's a doctor. I'm a fan of college. I'm an advocate for it. God bless you. But kids, find a school, go to a school that gives you scholarship money. Literally no one cares where you got your bachelor's degree from. No one. If you have a specific path, like my daughter wants to be a social worker, well, you can't just be a social worker. You must go to college. Fine, that's fine. But please, Lord, find a school that gives you scholarship money. HBCUs will throw money at you if you have like a freaking 3.0. I don't care if you're white, black, whatever you are. Go somewhere who's going to give you damn money. If an HBCU is going to give you money, take your butt to the HBCU.
I'm with him on that. I'm going to say this. She make about he said the doctor make about $215,000. So she already in probably about a 35 to 40% tax bracket easily. So Uncle Sam finna come clean some of that out. And now you got $550,000 worth of student loan debt. Your payment on that, probably about $3,000 to $4,000 a month, give or take, depends on the interest rate on that. Yeah, she can't afford it. And I'm a big advocate for going to school, if that's your path. But man, I think some of these student loans and how much debt people leaving after they leave, how much debt people in after leaving school, man, it's almost like a scam. You already bought a house while you were in school. So unfortunately, that's a sad situation to be in. And then these student loans ain't going nowhere. It's student loan like taxes. You can't file bankruptcy. You can't just forget about them. They're gonna follow you until you pay them off or for life. It is what it is. Let's move to the next one.
Well, a family in North Carolina is dead because they could not pay their $2,000 electric bill. Yeah.
That's a high.
And you wonder why I talk about electric bills so much. Rocky Mount, North Carolina, deaths raise concerns over town's utility payment policy. 3 people dead, all adults, and their 3 dogs, after the city refused their attempt to make a $1,000 payment on their electric bill to try to keep it on. The city refused, cut the electricity off. Now they're all dead. The even crazier part of this story is Rocky Mount, North Carolina is not a big city. It's a relatively small town, and there's over 200 accounts in that town whose electricity is currently disconnected because electricity prices and bills are so high. The people on the city council are literally trying to get the city to stop disconnecting people's power in that town. You have to remember, if there's over 200 accounts without power in that town, say 3 people per home, that's 600 people in a relatively small town that have no electricity in the middle of August. And just recently, there was an investigation into the city by the state auditor, I believe, to see how they were actually reading meters and things of that nature, because people's electric bills had risen by 300%, 400%, 500%. And the investigation found that they had done nothing wrong. I just want to stress, if you make the average wage in North Carolina, which is about $30 an hour, you have to work 2 full weeks. You have to work 83 hours just to pay your electric bill. And that's the only thing you can pay for. That doesn't include rent, gas, groceries, insurance, nothing else. That's just your electric bill. If it's $2,000 like this family's was. Now, they haven't released a cause of death yet, but it does appear there was a generator on the property that they were trying to, use to power the home. So there's a strong possibility they died of carbon monoxide poisoning. And unfortunately, these kind of stories are just going to continue to happen and be more common as electricity bills continue to rise, temperatures continue to rise due to climate change. And yes, this is the place in the world where your electric bill can be the cause of your death. American exceptionalism.
Man, that's crazy. If their electric bill was $2,000 for 1 month, I don't know what they're running in their place of dwelling, but that's a very high electric bill. And I would think that if they offered to pay $1,000, that the electric company would take that to keep it on, give them some type of payment plan. But man, for them to lose their life because of the electricity, that's pretty sad, man. And yes, people, I know in the wintertime, people use generators to keep things going and kerosene heaters and stuff like that. And people do perish from carbon monoxide. But man, losing your life behind something like this is truly, truly sad. This is the state that we're living in. So my heart goes out to those people. Let's move to the next one. It is what it is.
People in Wisconsin are struggling right now, and this is one of the reasons why. This is a basic, very average 3-bedroom home. This is what it's listed for. This is your average monthly payment. This is your payment. You still have to pay for groceries, health insurance, medical bills, utilities, everything like that. This is what you're paying every month, and this is the price history of the home. It was last sold for $132,000 in 2015. Now it's being listed for $375,000. That's up 182, almost 183% in 11 years. And wages have not risen 182%.
You imagine if your wages risen 182%, well, we'd be out here balling. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, I think that's the trap. Either you was on that wealth end where you benefited from it, or you was gonna be in the poorhouse, man. And a lot of people who are buying homes right now or end up going through foreclosure because they bought at the high end and really couldn't afford these houses. And people was like, man, I didn't realize my escrow was going to change every year. My insurance is going to go up every year, or my property tax is going to go up yes, that stuff go up every year. I done had about 10, between me and my wife, we bought about 10 properties. And it wasn't like this 20 years ago. That stuff went up, but it went up maybe $5, $10, $20. Man, this stuff going up hundreds of dollars. It's changing your pay. It's changing your payment $200, $300, $400, $500 a month easily, and they hit you with, oh, well, you was in a shortage last year, so we had to pay it, so you got to pay us back, and then now they're inflating this payment here. So it's crazy, man, what these things is costing out here, and it's putting people in a bad situation to where we are. They are having to foreclose on these houses. But I got a video I'm gonna show later on that a lot of banks don't know what to do because there's so many houses being delinquent right now. It is what it is. Let's move to the next one.
7. This administration is going to give us the new depression. People are living out of their cars like this is something you'd see in the Hoover towns in the 1930s because the rent is insane.
It is.
When a house is $500,000 in the state of South Carolina, when houses are on average $750,000 to $800,000 in California, and this is the South Carolina, which doesn't have jobs like what other big metropolitan places do, like places like New York, Seattle, San Francisco, etc. You know you're almost in a depression, or your economy is on the downward slope when people are living in their cars like it's a normal thing today.
Mm-hmm.
Because this administration has put the benefit of billionaires and donors ahead of the American people. And it's abundantly clear. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He never cared about poor people or anybody but unless they were rich, because he grew up rich.
Exactly.
And because he's never worked a hard day in his life. Donald Trump's never worked a hard day in his life. He doesn't know what work is. But he wants data centers to take over your local town and says that you're not smart if you don't want data centers. Well, the good news is a lot of the MAGAs even don't want data centers. Some of the MAGAs are finally starting to wake up, smell the coffee and say, wait a second, have we been duped? Yes, you have been duped. Yes, you have been duped. But let's turn Let's turn away from your naive ways and embrace the fact that we need leaders that put the American people first. It's not okay for the richest country on earth, the so-called richest country on earth, to have people living in their cars. Totally.
Your politicians is out of touch with you. They are rich. They are wealthy. You know what I mean? They can't relate to your daily struggles. And let me give you an example of why. I remember during COVID, they were strategically placing buses in certain areas so the kids can have internet that wasn't allowed to go to school, that couldn't go to school due to COVID. And I was riding through a town, and I'm like, why are these buses strategically parked like that? And somebody say, so these kids can have internet. And I'm like, they don't have internet? And just that fast, I was out of touch with some of the people. So, and I'm not rich. So if I'm out of touch with some of the people, you imagine your politicians who's rich. They're definitely out of touch with me, and they're out of touch with you. So yeah, the rich don't care about you. So that's why I tell people, man, you got to be on your own out here. And things are super, super duper inflated, and they really don't care. All they're gonna do is come, as you foreclosure, come buy it up and re-put it back on the market. And now they're gonna charge you 2 and 3 times what you was paying for it the first time. But it is what it is. Let's move to the next one.
I want to know who they're pricing these expensive ass apartments for. Who are they pricing it for? Because there's no way that I can't find a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom for lower than $2,300 that's actually decent. No roaches, no rats. We should not be in a state where minimum wage workers have to live with 3 to 4 people in order to afford to live. Everyone at minimum should be able to afford to live alone.
I can see that, but where we going right now, you probably gonna have to tribe up with somebody. I tell people you can't tribe up with everybody, but you need to tribe up with like-minded people, man, because things are super inflated, and I think they're gonna get higher. I think now with the Strait of Hormuz is closed and gas going up through the roof, probably by the end of this year easily, I think this thing gonna go through the roof. They gonna just they're gonna pass all that down to the little man who's already struggling right now. So yeah, I think rent right now, you talking about $2,300. Come next year, it's gonna be $25. That's why I put on my thumbnail. Shelter is gonna be a luxury, man. It's finna be like owning a Corvette or a Lamborghini just to have shelter. And you imagine the maintenance on that thing. So yeah, it's finna be bad, man. It is what it is. So let's move to the next one.
Just because you own a home does not mean that you cannot get priced out of the home that you supposedly own. As we all know, in the US, most of us don't really own anything. I bought my house in 2022 in August, and my monthly payment was going to be $1,500 a month because that's what I had said I could afford. Okay? Since 2022 August, we're now in 2026, almost 4 years later, I just got noticed that my mortgage will be $2,800 a month. Since 2022, my income has remained pretty much the same. Maybe it's gone up by, let's just say, 10 grand or so. Not that much. But I'm saying this for people that are considering buying a home, that it is possible that you can still get priced out. Mine is because my insurance went up. My insurance per year is $5,500. Why? Good question. It's gone up every year, of course, as it normally does. However, I had 2 incidences caused by weather and storm damage that had nothing to do with anything I did. And ever since then, my premiums have gone up. I live in a big city, so it's already naturally a little bit more expensive than when you live like in the burbs. But between that and the rise of property taxes, I'm getting priced out of the home that I bought thinking that I could afford it.
Yeah, it can happen. It can happen. But hell, don't feel like the Lone Ranger. My insurance went up $500 a year. I'm like, why? I ain't never had a claim. You know what I mean? It's like I'm getting punished maybe for what she claiming. I don't know. But yeah, you can get priced out of your house. Between property tax, especially if they brand new subdivisions around you that's already in the $600,000-$700,000, $1 million price range, they're gonna raise your property tax. They're building a new school, they're gonna raise your property tax. So yeah, you can get priced out of your house where you started here. They're saying, in 5-10 years, your mortgage is way up, your escrow, because your mortgage don't change, but it's your escrow with property taxes and homeowners insurance. So yeah, that can put you in a bind, mama. It is what it is. So let's move to the next one.
Does anyone else feel absolutely defeated with the state of everything right now? I just called federal student aid to see what my options are for repayment plan, because I got an email saying that my payment plan, which is $150 a month for my federal student loans, would be increasing to $2,200 a month if I don't change my plan. I go to look at the calculator, and the lowest repayment plan that I can get next would be at $589, which is $400 more than I'm currently paying, which I do not have like a side budget to account for that increase going forward. It's really friggin' frustrating, especially since like I'm in this position partly because like I love my parents, but they didn't know what they were signing me up for when I got private loans. I pay over $800 or almost $800 a month in private loans unrelated to my federal student loans. I also got into credit card debt issues over the last couple of years that I finally have a balance transfer for and like a payment plan for, and I've been slowly like chopping away at that, but like it leaves me no wiggle room when it comes to increases like this that came unexpectedly because the save plan was destroyed. It's just so shitty. It's like there's no other option aside from deferment or forbearance, and as somebody who's trying to do the public student loan forgiveness, I've been working for a nonprofit for 8 years. I only have a few more years left to try to get those forgiven, and I don't want to stop that consistency. So I have to figure out a way to make up for this extra $400. I do photography and content creation, UGC stuff on the side, but I haven't been doing as much because I'm picking a per diem shift at the hospital to make sure I have consistent income, and that takes away from the energy I have of pitching myself or my services to other things. And it's just like a vicious cycle of trying to figure it all out, being mad at myself for getting into credit card debt in the first place, wanting to still find joy and like book little trips and going hiking and camping for my own mental health because it's the only thing that keeps me sane when I work in healthcare. Okay. And then feeling guilty for doing that because then it's like, oh, that's money you should have put towards this. And it feels like every time I think about it, my brain's being torn in half.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Credit card debt, man, you gotta stay out of credit card debt. That's the biggest, I think, financial burden on households right now. You mean you go out there, you spend $2,000-$3,000 on that credit card. They already talking about anywhere from 22 to 30% interest, and that mess occurs daily. You know what I mean? So, and then the second biggest scam, I believe, is student loan. I'm gonna be honest with you. I know a lot of people are like, well, I paid my student loan off and that was fine. Good for you. I'm so happy. But a lot of these youngsters, man, going to school and they walking out of school $100,000+ in debt. I believe it's a scam. And then they going into careers that they can't make no money off of, or they can't even get a job in their career because there's no jobs out here in the private sector for this particular thing you went to school for. So credit card, student loan, man, it's putting people behind the 8 ball, and it's hurting families and households. So you got to make smarter decisions, though, mama. Like she said, she owned up to it. She said poor financial decisions. So I respect that, but it is what it is. So let's move to the next one.
100+. So I'm apartment hunting right now, and I'm trying so hard not to get angry about the whole thing. We might already be past that. But there are so many apartments out there that want to charge $1,800+ for less than 600 square feet. It's a shoebox. It's so sad. What is happening? This is the system we've set up after all the years of humanity even existing. This is where we're at. This is how it's going. Yes, and the frustrating part is that the suburbs used to be cheaper, like a lot cheaper, because you're further out from the cities and everything. And nowadays the suburbs are keeping up with the prices of the city. Why is this a thing? Like, it's so hard to not become very jaded with systems like this. I'm trying not to get angry about it, but please, somebody explain.
Well, the suburbs is getting expensive because everybody's pushing out. You know what I mean? They're pushing out here to the suburbs because it was cheap at one point. Now they say, hey, we can raise our prices up here because everybody want to be out here and nobody want to be in the city. Yes, apartments are super duper expensive right now. And like I always say, because apartments are owned by corporations. And corporations is about protecting their profits and shareholders, not you. So they're going to raise it up as much as they can to get the shareholders and their profits up to pay them CEOs and execs. So, yeah, if you want to live there, it's going to cost you. Unfortunately, it is what it is. Let's move to the next one.
So I just want to get on here real quick and address this comment on my Afterpay video about groceries because I absolutely agree with you. It is devastatingly horrible that you can work a full-time job making the most you possibly can and it still not be enough to pay your bills and feed your family. The economy we live in is depressing. It's sickening, honestly, to see some people who have so much money that they don't know what to do with it, that they just blow it. And then you have people like me and this person and so many others that have reached out to me and messaged me and commented on this video that have to use things like Afterpay, or there was a couple other apps that were mentioned, to buy groceries to feed their family. The government needs to fix shit.
I don't think the government will fix it because they're probably making money with these companies. Unfortunately, anytime we gotta make payments for groceries, like buy groceries without credit cards or Afterpay or what is the other one, Klarna or something like that, man, or Cash App. I heard Cash App, you can borrow money from Cash. Man, we're in a bad place. And I can see why people's like, well, you got to budget your money better. A lot of people just don't have money right now. You know what I mean? Let's be honest with it. A lot of people is one paycheck away from being on the street. Or one paycheck from sleeping in their car. One paycheck from getting their car repoed. A lot of people is already behind the 8 ball. So I understand what people is going, trying to maintain with these Afterpay stuff. But, man, that's just putting you further and further behind. That's what I'm saying. We got to tribe up. We got a roommate. We got to move in with people. We probably got to have 4 or 5 people to a house easily, man, so we can try to get ourselves out of that and put some more money back in our pockets. Because if you don't take care of you, ain't nobody else going to come rescue you at this particular point in life, being honest with you. It is what it is. Let's move to the next one.
New data tonight shows foreclosures across the U.S. surged more than 20% in the last year. Real estate data company Adam found that Florida, South Carolina, and Indiana had the highest foreclosure rates overall. And in another sign of distress for homeowners, new Realtor.com data shows that short sales rose 16% in the first quarter of this year compared to the same time last
year. You got to do what you got to do. You know what I mean? I lost house. I lost cars. And I'm not ashamed to say that. I went through it. I didn't want to go through it again, so I made smarter financial decisions, but it can happen to any of us. So when people say, hey, man, I'm in distress, or I'm looking, I never look down on nobody, especially in this type of situation with house, because I've been there. You know, my heart go out to you because I know it was a struggle, man. It was pain, bro. It was stress. You know, knowing you got to give up your stuff. So anybody out there, my heart go out to you. You got a foreclosure, you got a repo, you struggling right now. My heart go out to you because I can relate to you. It is what it is. So let's move to the next one.
I don't think there's enough outrage over the fact that these motherfucker companies got tariff refunds.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Prices didn't go down. We didn't get refunds. Just another wealth transfer. Donnie hooking up his fucking buddies. Wonder how many fucking billions of dollars that took away from the middle class. And you know as well as I do, once the prices are there, they ain't never fucking coming down.
No, they're not.
We've been getting fucked since the pandemic. And it ain't gonna fucking stop now. He's also gotten rid of all the consumer protection, so there's that. Yeah. Wow, things are just fucking great.
I heard about the tariff refund that companies got, man. I think they got hundreds of millions or billions or something like that in refund. But I thought when Doge came into office, and when Trump got in office and Doge and Elon Musk, and they was like, well, all the money we found, we're gonna give back to the people, which I told the people don't believe that. But and you can see who got the money. It wasn't us, you know what I mean? Which we can use the money. And like my man was just saying, once those prices in place, they ain't coming down. They know you can pay them, and they know you're willing to pay them, and they know you have to pay them to survive. So it just put us in a bad situation behind the 8 ball again and again and again. And like you said, people we're not angry enough. People not angry enough. But when people get desperate people do desperate things in desperate times. So I always tell y'all, keep your head on the swivel out here. It is what it is. So let's move to the next one.
Yo, the cost of living is ridiculous. So, my lease is about to end, and, I'm apartment hunting, just looking around.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't been apartment hunting in so long because I've been in my current place for about 2 years. And now that I'm looking, I'm like, oh, this is what they talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at 1 bedrooms for $2,000, $2,100, 2 bedrooms, $2,300. I would never pay that for an apartment. I will never. And I know a lot of people keep saying, just get a house. It's not that simple, buddy. When you have a house, your base mortgage could be $1,600, but all the other stuff you got to pay on top of that, you're paying a lot more than that. I know people paying $2,600 for mortgage, $2,700 for a mortgage. No, I'm not doing that right now. And then you understand property taxes, HOA fees, all that stuff that adds up. Having a house is not cheap. It's very expensive, and you need to be financially well off to have a house. And most people are not financially well off, and they have houses and they're house poor. I don't want to be that person. Baby steps. Now, I'm thinking to myself, there's no way I'm paying that much for an apartment. But at this point, I have no choice. I had set up an apartment tour, and God be speaking to me. I set up an apartment tour. I knew something was off because the prices were a little down there. This morning, that same apartment complex I set up a tour for, they said someone got shot and killed this morning.
Oh, no.
Tour canceled.
I'm with you on that, man. Any place, I used to have a partner of mine, and we had a little money. We was probably making back then probably about $28, $30 an hour in IT. So he was making pretty good money, but he always wanted to live in the hood, man. He didn't grow up in the hood. You know what I mean? He grew up in an affluent neighborhood, but for some reason, he was just being infatuated with the hood. So I'm with it. And every time I used to go over to the house, I'm looking like, bro, why do you live over here, bro? You know what I mean? But some people like it. But in this particular case, I'm with you, brother. Ain't no way. I can't live in certain areas. I'm not bougie. I'm not trying to turn my nose up at people, but I just can't do it, man. If I go to some place and it look like it's regular, you fixing cars in the street or potholes up, I can't do it, man. Or people just hanging outside with the pants sagging, I can't do it, man. I won't even buy rental property in that particular area. So I understand you, brother, but yeah, cost of living is pretty high. Let's move to the next one.
How is anybody surviving in today's housing market?
Man, we all fighting out here.
I am hunting for a house to rent, and everywhere around here is super fucking expensive. It should not be a luxury to have a roof over your head.
Shouldn't be.
God forbid you get sick. God forbid something happens. Dude, prices that much. If something happens to where, hey, I don't get paid this month or this week, or hey, I'm short, and you get evicted, you're homeless. There's no leeway. And I'm so fucking curious how it got this bad. It shouldn't be this bad. You are a fucking slave at this point. You have to work yourself to the bone to make sure you keep up with what? a place that's fucking $2,000, $3,000 in some places, and then you don't have any food, or you can barely afford food, and a place I don't fucking know. This shit's wild. Car.
I feel your frustration, little bro.
This is ridiculous, man. How did it get this bad? It shouldn't be a luxury to have a place to live.
Well, it got that bad when people took their eyes off the government and allowed corporations to come in and run the government. Because, like I said, corporations is about greed, it's about profit, about shareholders. It's all business at that point. Unfortunately, a lot of people are starting to live in a car. A lot of people is doing van life. If you got a family and kids, it's way much harder than that to live in a car with kids. I saw one lady say she was moving, giving up her place because she couldn't afford it. And her and her 3 kids gonna live in their car. They're gonna be tough, very tough. But my heart go out to her because I didn't grow up. I grew up behind the 8-ball, and I don't talk about it, but I grew up behind the 8-ball. So, and a lot of people happen to go back and live very minimal, and give up some of the luxuries of life, which is, to me, it shouldn't be a luxury to own a home. It shouldn't be a luxury to have basic necessities like a shelter and lights and water and all that. But I'm seeing a lot of utility companies is shedding off people water and people electric because they get behind, which we're in a sad state, but we ran by corporations. It is what it is. Let's move to the next one.
You ever really thought about how much of your check is spent just to keep getting a paycheck? Like, really think about that shit now. You need a car to get to work. Now you got a car payment, maintenance, gas, insurance, all because you got to get to the place that pays you. And don't forget, you need clothes for work that you got to pay for. You got to eat while you're at work, regardless if you buy that shit outside of work or if you buy it at the grocery store and bring it from home. You still got to pay for it for work. And if you got kids, you got to pay somebody to watch your kids so you can go make money to take care of your kids. Like, what the fuck? So now I'm thinking, how much of the money we call income is actually improving our life? Because some people, they ain't working 8 hours a day just to build a life. They're working 8 hours a day just to afford every fucking thing required to come back and work another 8 tomorrow. That shit is deeper than being broke. That's a fucking cycle. And if you never stop long enough to see the cycle, you'll spend your whole fucking life financing your ability to stay inside the cycle. You better think about that.
Bro, that is well said. I got nothing to add to that one. That's well said there, big bro. And it does cost us to get to work and maintain. But it is what it is. Let's move to the next one.
People also need to understand that right now, the banks don't know what to do because they're sitting on lists of foreclosure homes or homes that they could foreclose on, homes that are delinquent, 2 to 12 months out. I'm serious. I know several people in banks and they don't know what to do. The lists are so fucking large right now, they don't know where to start. There have already been 227,000 foreclosures this year so far. Think about that for a second. That's 250,000 people that had no other choice, no other options, and they lost their home. These numbers are only going to go up. People can't afford anything. Everything is too expensive. The banks aren't I don't know what the term for is it, but I guess jumping on these foreclosures like they could be. The lists are long, I assure you.
First of all, they probably ain't got no buyers. And Why take the house? It gonna cost you about $1 billion. You go out here, if it's that many houses already in foreclosure, it's gonna cost you hundreds of million, maybe $1 billion to maintain, or the house is gonna start becoming dilapidated. And now you got to call a bulldozer company in there to come knock that stuff over. So you might as well just let the people stand there, and hopefully they can get back on their feet and pay you something. But in certain areas they don't care; they go in there kicking folk out. But I've seen in some areas they let them stay. So it is what it is, man. It's, I guess where you at in on the pendulum. Let's move to the next one.
So Trump said everybody is doing amazing. Prices are coming down. People are traveling. The gas prices are coming down. The food prices are coming down. We're in a big economic boon, according to President Trump. I'm in the middle of Gatlinburg, and I'm going to tell you right now, travel is down probably half of what it was last year. There is nowhere near the traffic up here this year on vacation as there been in years in the past. As for the food prices around here, I haven't seen anything come down. The prices to rent a hotel room or to rent an apartment is still skyrocketing here. The prices to get gas, it's still well above $3.60 here in most places. Every once in a while you might find it for like $3.45 or something, but it's still higher. I would just like to know where he is seeing this. Like, is he that delusional to where he believes that that's what's actually happening here? Like, I support this man, but quit lying to us. What we can see with our own eyes is the truth, not what you want it to be. We've asked for that 100%, but y'all have not delivered on it. In fact, everything is the same or not worse as it was under Biden. Have an awesome day.
I told y'all they don't run anything. You know what I mean? I don't care who's in office. They're not running nothing. You know what I mean? So, and it's going to get worse. I believe it's going to get worse. I think we're in what they call like the anaconda squeeze. They're going to keep squeezing and squeezing and squeezing till you have nothing. And like they said, the Agenda 2030, you will own nothing and you will be happy. And that's when the basic, universal basic income going to kick out. And then you got to jump through hoops to maintain your money, your monthly money that's coming in. So right now you're in the window to try to prepare and do what you got to do to better yourself and your situation at this particular time. I see a lot of people saying they're leaving. They're packing everything up and leaving the country, man, because they see that it's super duper expensive here in America right now. But it is what it is. Let's move to the next one.
Something happens. A lot of people are at their absolute breaking point. They might not tell you, you might not see it on them, but a lot of people are this close from crashing out. And I mean really crashing out. As hard as we work, it feels like as soon as you get one thing, as soon as you get one little opportunity going, you got a little bit of money coming in, you're doing good, boom, something happens. I had a really, really good paying job last year, and a bunch of people were telling me, oh, you need to stop having roommates, you need to go get your own place, you need to do this, you need to do that. Okay, well, I knew that stability coming from one income source is not going to cut it. If my entire livelihood depends on how somebody feels one day, then why would I want to go sign up for an apartment on my own? Why would I want to go, and I've lived on my own before, but in this economy, if you want to save, if you want anything, if you want any semblance of a future, rent is going to wipe that out if you don't have a really good paying job. A lot of people can't even afford rent on their own. And we just need to stop acting like this is not happening. Why do so many people just seem to la-di-da-di-da, everything's rosy over here, y'all just need to work harder? Really, bro? Because last I checked, you're 15 grand in debt. You just bought a $50,000 truck and you work 60 hours a week. What kind of life are we living, guys?
I don't want to be in that type of debt. I don't want to have to work 60 hours a week, you know what I mean, unless I'm working for myself. I tell anybody, if you're comfortable with a roommate and you got good roommates, I call it tribing up with somebody. Stay there till you comfortable. I know a lot of my people, especially even my kids, say, "Hey, I'm ready to get my own place. I'm ready to do my own thing." Yeah, but getting your own place require you to pay 100% of everything. I'm a big believer of tribing up. When I was coming through the ranks, I had an apartment with me and my brothers. Man, we had an apartment together and split that thing 3-4 ways. You know what I mean? Easily till all of us had enough money. Then we got married and we branched off like that. So, man, if you comfortable with roommating, don't let nobody trick you out of that. People quick to say, "Hey, man, you need your own place. You need to do this." Man, I stay with the roommate in a minute, especially if we like-minded people. We ain't fighting each other. So it is what it is. Let's move to the next one.
My rent is going up almost $300 a month. Okay, I'm confused. I'm lost, dumbfounded. Everywhere in my city, everybody going up in apartments. Okay, these are just one bedrooms. I pay $1,100 a month for one bedroom right now. If I resign my lease, it'd be $1,300, okay? Not including maintenance fees, not including all the utilities and all that stuff. But it's all said and done, I'll be spending $1,600, $1,700 to live there, okay? When it's all said and done. My thing is, what do these landlords think we're making out here? Okay? Everybody not making all that kind of money like this. I'm a truck driver. As you can see, I'm in the truck right now. Truck drivers don't get raises, okay? We don't get raises. I barely made enough to make 3 times the rent already. But now it's just going up. I don't know what's going to happen. I make $4,000 a month. I don't know. Well, I make that, but after taxes and all that, you know how that goes. It's about 36, something like that. I won't be able to afford that place anymore where I live at right now. So I got to move. I'm probably considering living in my truck, maybe. Might get a hotel rooms on weekends. If I get a hotels on weekends, I spend $580 a month just for Saturdays to Sundays. That saves me a lot of money, about $1,000 a month, just doing that. Cause I'm gone most of the time anyway. But my big concern is I don't know where these landlords, how they think we out here making all this money to raise the rent down high. We got layoffs going on, and the federal workers are getting laid off, and it just, things gotta change, you know. I refuse to pay that much for one bedroom, so I'm not doing that. I've been looking around my city. A lot of folks moving in the city, so I guess, you know, supply and demand is what raised the prices up. But I've been in my city my whole life, and they trying to push us out. I'd rather be straightforward and say that.
Oh, they're trying to push you out, all right. You know what I mean? And squeeze them pockets too. Being honest with you, if I had to do it right now, I probably would look to have me a little RV, give me a little land, and place my RV on there. It'll run me some water and utilities out there because of things or overly priced, overly expensive right now. But then even having a RV or a van life, as I'm seeing some people doing that, I got a show coming up next week about van life and living in the car. Now, in certain cities, in certain states, I see that they're arresting people for being homeless. And I'm like, that is ridiculous. You pricing me out of shelter. You're making it super expensive to own a dwelling. But then you're arresting me for being homeless, or you fining me for living in my car, or you changing the laws and ordinance in certain counties, so I can't put an RV on this land here, or I can't put a live in my van out here, even on my own land. I know one county right now would not let you put an RV out there without having a structure. One guy was like, I'm gonna put my RV out here because we're building our home. They wouldn't let him do it. And they say every month that he does that, they was gonna fine him $1,000. They wanted him to have a house because they said and he asked them why, and one of the commissioners kind of told him because they can't really can't charge him a high property tax with an RV on that property. He's like, but I'm building the house. They didn't care about that. So it's all about money. It's all about greed. So yeah, it's crazy out here right now, man, just trying to survive. But it is what it is, man. You guys, I thank y'all for tuning into my live today. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. And until next time, y'all be good.